CLB.
What up, world? It's Challz Brown back again with another review. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to get notified on upcoming episodes. All right, man. It's been a minute since your boy been on the tube. It's been about 5 months. I haven't done an album review in minimum of 5 months. And you know what I told y'all last time I was on here? I was like, man, I'm going to be dropping these joints every week. Ain't that something? I ain't dropped nothing. I ain't dropped nothing in months, bruh. And that's because I'm on my other channel doing Talking Facts every week. I do Talking Facts every week because, to be honest with you, it's easier to talk about current events that I don't got to make notes on and listen to 3 or 4 times. Because I got to listen to these albums over and over. But you know what? I'm back on my grind. The music has inspired me. A lot of people are like, hip-hop is dead, this and that. I haven't been this inspired in a long time with this hip-hop music, to be honest with you. And I'm not even going to say a long time. The past couple of years have been great. And a few albums came and went that I really wanted to do a review on. I just didn't have the time, right? But I got time today. I got time today because your boys, Crooked I, Royce the 5'9", Joe Budden, Joel Ortiz, formerly known as Slaughterhouse, have split up and divided. And there are many, many, many people that have many things to say about this. And many people that got many different opinions on why this happened. And I'm going to really do my best to not talk on and on and on about this today. I'm going to try to keep it about the album, but there's so much backstory you got to address that you can't just ignore what's going on. Royce the 5'9" and Joe Budden learned about the album when all of us did. Online, that Joel Ortiz and Crooked I not only did a song, right? They were going to release a full album called The Rise and Fall of Slaughterhouse by King Crooked and Joel Ortiz. I heard that album today amongst, I want to say about a week and a half, 2 weeks of bitter back and forth. I've seen best friends become strangers. I've heard 4 different sides of this story, and I have my own spin on the story because I was there in the beginning when it first started. Myself, I saw some of the things because I did, like I always say, I did a 3-city tour with the group when they were just becoming a real group and about to sign a Shady before they signed a Shady. I don't want to do too much talking about that. I've talked about that on several other videos, right? But I do know that I saw this crew start to become what they've become today, right? And we've pretty much seen them escalate different ways into full-fledged businessmen. And I want to talk about the group itself. I want to talk about basically where people stand with this, because right now it's political. If you are a fan of 1 or 2 of these guys, you're looking at other people as the culprit. Let's just be honest. If you're a Budden fan, you're saying Ortiz and Crooked I are dirty. They're doing this for a quote-unquote bag, right? It's a nasty breakup, and they only own 1/4 each of a brand that was built by 4 people, and they just ruined their legacy. It's same as if you're a Royce fan. You're going to be like, they burnt the whole thing down. They ruined it. They should have just talked to us. They should have just waited. They should have just, let us know what they were going to do so we can make an informed decision, yada, 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 right? If you're a fan of Ortiz, you're like, man, tear their ass up. Don't say no. Don't share no freaking. Don't spare no expense. Get them with everything. Hit them hard. Don't slow down. Don't give them no breaks. Get at them, right? And if you're a fan of Crooked, you're probably a more even-keeled-minded person who has seen this develop because Crooked is very active on his Twitter and his different pages with his fans. He's been leading people down the process for years of why this thing, 10 years in the making of why Slaughterhouse is burnt down. And then you're going to get my opinion, it's their story, bro. If you're being honest, Slaughterhouse been dead. And if I'm putting myself in the shoes of Joel, right? I mean, not Joel, Crooked, who I find to be the realest of all 4. I'm just keeping it a buck. And your definition of real don't probably don't relate to my definition as real. My definition of real means you can be even killed, right? You can say really something, even if it's painful. You can say it and be honest, which I don't think Royce is doing right now. And I don't think Joe Budden never is going to do. And I don't think, even to a degree, I think Joel is so emotionally hurt, it's hard for him to be objective. So I think that right now, the realest one who's being, he could say, yes, I was hurt about this, but that happened, right? Not in a facetious way where I think Royce, when he's like, it hurt me, I don't think it really hurt him because I don't think he really cared. I think Royce has made his alliances and they lie with Budden, right? So if Budden don't care, he don't care. I think the only reason Royce is even feeding into this on live and everything, because the algorithm is saying that this is the hottest topic online. I think if this topic, if no one cared, you wouldn't hear Royce talking about it. I'm just going to be a buck. I think Royce has jumped into this conversation because it is the thing to talk about right now. I don't think he's all that hurt. I really just don't think Royce is all that hurt. I don't think, if you're following this thing, supposedly this album was supposed to be a diss album to to Budden and Royce. It's not the case. It's not. I listened to every single song on here more than once, and it's not the case. This is not a diss album. Now, yeah, the only line I could say that you could if you're a Joe Budden and you're looking for a diss, you could turn half of the stuff into diss. It's not none of it's diss, because when you diss a person, you're saying it to actively destroy their character. That's the literal definition of a diss. You're trying to destroy someone's character, right? I didn't find anything on here to destroy. All he said was Budden didn't drink, but he got busy on those prescription pills. That is common knowledge. That any half decent Joe Budden fan knows that Joe Budden has a problem with prescription drugs. So I don't know in what world that would be a diss, right? They talked about how they didn't get calls back on this project. They talked about how they brought up different deals, and Budden and Royce kind of like played along, like, just kind of lingering and stringing them along, and they just decided to burn it down. Now, I watched I've been watching several interviews. I watched the one that really sold it for me. Right? I watched Royce and Joe Budden. I had to skip through some of it because it was so cringy. It's like two mean girls at the middle school going on live to get at some other girl. It was beneath these two guys. I'm gonna be honest with you. And if you watch that live with Joe Budden and Royce and walked away with anything other than them two just being facetious and mean, I wonder what your take on life really is, right? Because grown men don't do this. Not about people who they supposedly love. And they don't say, oh, I wish them no ill will. I wish them nothing but the best. When you just spend an hour talking about they're liars. Right? You just spend an hour talking about everything they're saying is lying, and they're only doing everything for the bag, and they're burning down a brand that they have only 1/4 control over. But you wish them the best? Why would you wish these people the best when you're clearly saying that they're not worth even paying attention to? They're liars. Right? You're calling them out liars, and you're basically, you're laughing, you're like dismissive, right? You said suck my D to the whole album. You told Ortiz suck my D to the whole album. He had to eat that. He really was upset. And some of this, I wonder if some of this he wrote after that call, because I think he did. I thought the thing was finished. But some of the stuff he said, like when he said on that last call, he said on that last phone call, it said it all. So I'm like, was that the call? Or was it a call before that live where they told him that, right? I do a whole nother video on my other channel on Talking Facts where I go extensively into the fall of Slaughterhouse, and I'm not going to do that right now, right? Where I'm talking about how Royce was kind of like, he's playing semantics, right? Sometimes when people are too smart, or they think they're too smart, They try to semantic you, especially when they're not being 100% honest, right? And I'm going to keep this part of the review short. I'm doing an album review. I'm going to do a timestamp for the album review because this ain't the album review. This is the back context of the album that we got by King Crooked and Joell Ortiz, right? I'm going to be honest with you. When you keep saying, stick to the question, when did I say I wasn't going to do it? Right? When you clearly know A and B equals C and D. But a person that's trying to overly nitpick at something to make it seem like they have a valid point, he kept saying to Joell, who's not, I believe he's way more emotional than articulate, right? He's articulate when he's writing rhymes, but when you put him on the spot on a live where he's trying to save face and trying to be honest at the same time, and he doesn't want to come off too emotional or say something ridiculous, you're like, tell me when I said I wasn't going to rap, or I didn't want to do it. Everyone on the live knows you never said those words, but two things can be true. You can still not want to do it, right? We're all men. Let's be 100% with each other. Let's not play games, bro. Your actions show way more than what your words say. So Royce keeps going, when did I say I didn't want to do it? My brother, when did I say I didn't want to do it? He's playing with him because he clearly said, if Joe ain't rapping, I'm not rapping. But he's going to play these semantics with Joell, and Joell don't know enough to be like, to say it, well, no, you never said that. That's a fact. You never said that. But you did say you wasn't going to rap if Joe didn't rap. So when I go to Joe, Joe's like, I'm retired. I don't rap no more. So what that tell me, right? If we playing basketball, we trying to play a 2-on-2, right? And I go over here to Joe and I'm like, Joe, you balling? And he go like, I don't ball no more. I'm good on that balling. So you're like, Royce, you balling? And Royce goes, well, if Joe don't ball, I'm not going to ball either. Then I'm just going to go hoop by myself. What else I need to hear? But Royce trying to play these games. When did I say I wasn't going to? You see what I'm saying? It's goofy. And I lost a little bit of respect for Royce on this one. And I'm not saying Crooked and Ortiz are not at fault in a way. All of them are at fault. This album exists because all of them are at fault in different ways, right? But I quantify realness by being true to your word and not trying to play games with people, right? Royce has taken zero response, zero. There's no way a 4-man group could break up without everyone having some part of that. There's no way. Royce has taken zero responsibility in this situation. If you sit back and watch Royce got the smuggest look, the most undetached demeanor. This means nothing to him but fodder. It means nothing to him. Crooked has when you wash your hands or something, you don't care what nobody think. So yes, it's an ill-advised move to record this album without the other two. It's not a Slaughterhouse album without the other two. It's just a fact. And for Crooked I to get a deal saying with the other two is this, but if you want to just do two of them, we could pay you that, and you take the deal, it's no other way around it. It's not a good deal. It's not good. But with that being said, Crooked explained that. Again, I'm going to repeat that for the people who are going to go in my comments. Crooked explained that he writes about his personal life and all his music. And to be fair, for all the people that's really talking, this album not called Slaughterhouse. It doesn't, nowhere on it does it say this is by Slaughterhouse. Go look at it. It says King Crooked and Joell Ortiz. This is their album. At the end of the day, it's really no reason to be talking about this. If we're being technically honest, right? Now I'm going to give you an analogy. It ain't really going to make no sense, but it kind of does. KRS-One made an album called The Blueprint, right? Jay-Z came years later and made an album called The Blueprint. Now, Nas dissed Jay for calling his album The Blueprint. Right? But at the end of the day, the album wasn't called KRS-One Blueprint. It was called Jay-Z Blueprint. Right? It had nothing to do with KRS-One. It had nothing to do with the Blueprint. Now, you're going to say, what the hell are you talking about? It means nothing. But what I'm saying is, an album is just an album title, bro. They called this album The Rise and Fall of Slaughterhouse. They didn't say, by Slaughterhouse. So we're not fighting over a name right now. We're not fighting over a name right now. They have every reason. And this is what people are mixing up. And I think we need to really talk about this. This album is not a Slaughterhouse album. And I think Crooked and Ortiz need the buzz from this. Right? But they could shut this down. They could have shut this down last week. But they don't need to shut it down because they need the buzz for this. But let's please understand. The one thing nobody is saying is, this is not a Slaughterhouse album. This is the second album by King, Crooked, and Joell Ortiz. This is their second full-length album. It's not by Slaughterhouse. And that's what nobody seems to understand. So with that being said, they don't owe these guys anything. I promise you, Joell, I promise you, Joe Budden and Royce the 5'9" are not getting one dime off this album. I promise you. You want to make a bet? I'll bet any of you. There's zero chance they get a penny off this album. For the simple fact, it's not a Slaughterhouse album. Do your research. It's not a Slaughterhouse album. These two guys named their album The Rise and Fall of Slaughterhouse. And with that being said, they have every right to name their album whatever they want to call it. They have every right to rap about whatever they want to call it. Now, what I'm going to do is be honest. I'm not going to play semantics. This is on purpose to let this buzz and let everybody, oh my God, like us fighting over this and bickering about this gives the algorithm more. I go on my YouTube right now, every video that they show me is about Slaughterhouse. Because I've been clicking every single one. Chig, Smooth, and Academic, everybody. I've been clicking it. I've been clicking them all, right? The algorithm is going to feed you what you want. So if you keep saying Slaughterhouse, 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 right? They could have took these same songs, right? They could have literally, and I'm gonna blow your mind with this one. I'm gonna blow your mind with this one. They could have took the exact same album, called it The Rise and Fall of the Super Group. Right? It would not have done every single word they put on this album that everybody's bitching about. It would not have caused the trauma nowhere near of what we got. Even though they're saying the exact same stuff, they're talking about Joe, but it just would have been an album. Please, when you see me on the street anyway, if I'm lying on this, slap the entire shit out of me. I mean, you're going to have a problem, but do it. Because this is a fact, right? If these guys named this thing anything else, but still kept the Joe Budden verses and the lines about Royce and that, put it all on there, yeah, it would have made a bubble, it would have bubbled up. People would have said, oh, they would have said whatever they would have said, but it would never have caused this much attention. So if we're keeping it honest, this is what they wanted. Now, on the flip side, they got the right to tell their story. This is their truth. They get tired of people coming up to them. When's the Slaughterhouse? You hear it every time. Every time you go on their page. When's the Slaughterhouse? What's going on with Slaughterhouse? They got tired of hearing it. I bet you nobody says it no more. I bet you nobody says, well, when the Slaughterhouse? It's never coming out. Sucker. What else you want to know? We done with Budden. I feel him, bro. I feel him. I peeped Budden out 6-7 years ago of how he moves. Probably longer than that. Probably, I want to say 10. But it gets worse every year. So if I'm all set with this guy, Crooked said He ain't want to do no more business with Budden. He only even considered this on the strength of Royce, and Budden burnt him again. Budden has checked out of this stuff. Budden checked out of this 8-9 years ago. It ain't making him no money. This dude don't wait around to figure out if stuff can make him money. Ortiz says it on here that Budden was always into them Rolexes and them pool parties. He ain't got time to be waiting around on Slaughterhouse. And that's why it's so funny that these two dudes are acting so appalled and you ruined the brand. What brand? Y'all never was going to rap on it. It's all fake. Because the simple fact that Royce is on here every day with this whole holier than thou act that he just got burnt out of a brand. You were never going to rap without Joe, and Joe wasn't never going to rap. Joe was retired. You know what retired means? He don't rap no more. So my whole problem with this whole thing is it's all a gimmick on all four sides for different reasons. Yes, Joel Ortiz, he wears his emotions on his sleeve, right? They write there on the sleeve. He's great lyricist, and he's going to tell you exactly what it is. And he's going to bar it up, metaphors, similes, all this stuff. It's going to sound great. And his album is great, right? This is a great album, regardless of where your political alliances are a lie. Right? This album is great. I'm going to leave it at that. This album is dope, but I'm going to go song for song. I'm going to break it down the best I can, right? But if we're being honest, all four of these guys are at fault. And that's just being a buck. Now, there are levels to the fault. It seems like Budden is the reason that the whole Eminem thing fell apart in the first place. And it just made it worse, right? It seems that Royce is a fault because Royce seems very in the middle, blah, blah. Like, bro, I'm not even making no stance on this one way or the other. If Joe don't do it, then I'm just not going to roll with it, right? Which to me is lame. Don't put it on Joe. Right? He may be like Slaughterhouse without Joe. And he was saying he's going to make Joe rap. You really? Did he rap yet? Did he rap? Is there a new Joe Budden verse I heard of? I haven't heard of? Because Royce been saying for years, don't worry about it, I'm going to make Joe rap. He going to get on the Slaughterhouse. Well, I'm curious, is there a hidden verse that Royce made him rap about? Right? Because simple fact, from us on the outside, it looked dead. It looked completely dead. So I can't blame these two. They're not saying, and this is the thing that people don't understand, they're not saying we just rebirthed Slaughterhouse, we're going to do it for years. They're saying, no, we're going to kick this out about what we saw, how we feel, our personal opinion of what went down, how we feel burnt, and we're going to flame it up and we leave the Slaughterhouse where it is. You can get mad at it, hate it, or whatever you want to do at the end of that. That's what it is, but we ain't going to talk about it no more. Right? And that's what we got. We got an album that burnt this whole logo down. And it should have been burnt years ago. They should have. This is the thing, man. When grown men ain't really feeling it, it's over. Joe ain't been feeling this thing. That's why he not returning Crooked Eyes calls, because he don't care. He makes enough money. He says it over and over on every interview you watch. If long enough, you give him enough time, he's gonna say, man, my lifestyle affords me to not have to rap. I just listened to the interview before I put this camera on. It wasn't an interview he was on live with Royce and I believe the other guy from Queen. I think it was Queen's Flip. And he's like, my lifestyle affords me not to worry about rapping. And to a person who was only rapping for the money, then that's what he doesn't need to do anymore. Right? I don't believe in this retirement stuff. Retirement is for people who only doing it for the money. Right? Jay-Z retired like 10 years ago. Still rapping. Because he's rapping because he loved rap. You could tell Budden checked out a rap. He would have been made a song. He don't love rapping no more. He loved money. So this is where we are. There was never going to be another Slaughterhouse record. There was never going to be nothing. So these guys burnt it up, flamed it up. It been over. Light it up, burn it up, flame on. If you a real, let me put it like this. If you a real hip hop head, you can't be mad at this. I wish quite a few other of our heroes would have put the flame to some stuff and let it go, right? Because we still wondering with this and that and the third. These guys put it out there like this is what it is from our angle. And if Royce and this guy disagree, then rap about it. We don't want to see no tweet, no dismissive, condescending Instagram posts. We rappers. And I agree. I don't want to see no posts, no long-winded posts or no long-winded freaking 15-minute live of Royce walking around his freaking compound talking about whatever he's talking about. I don't care. I'm not watching that. Because it's not conducive to what we want to do. Right? End of the day, these guys have amassed a massive fan base that wanted answers, and it was never going to stop. Royce admitted, they just cornered Royce, right? Because Royce tried to he outsmarted us. Royce is too smart for his own good. He's too smart for his own good. He tried to say last week that he never said Slaughterhouse was over. That he never, ever publicly said he was done with Slaughterhouse and that these two guys just ruined it. But you know what the internet is going to do? Somebody was like, oh, wait a minute. Went back to a post from, I think it was 2017, where he quote, Slaughterhouse is over, it's done. Slaughterhouse is over, it's done. They have the screenshot. And you know what he responded to that? Nothing. A whole bunch of nonsense about nothing. Because the simple fact of the matter is, we all knew it was over. They've been stringing these dudes along. Crooked I said he would go to studios and they would all not be there. He said the last time when they did this album right here, they went to the studio. Joe was supposed to go and Royce was supposed to go. He said he got there and he was like, where y'all at? And I believe it was I think it was Royce that said, Joe said last minute he wasn't going, so I should have called you. I should have let you know that Joe said he wasn't going last minute. That's sucker stuff. I hate sucker stuff, boy. I hate it. I hate it. It's sucker stuff to keep playing with this man. He's flying from Cali. You know he's flying from Cali. That means you don't respect him. That means you don't respect him. They were supposed to meet in Detroit, right? This is according to Crooked, and I believe it. They're supposed to meet in Detroit and start some work on the new Slaughterhouse album. Joe Budden decided he had other stuff to do, which is probably either a strip club or having some chicks at his crib drinking Cavassier or whatever they drink, right? And Crooked was like, I'm tired of this. And Royce, Joel was like, what you want to do? Let's just start making some stuff. Then they start thinking like, man, rightfully so. You know what? This Slaughterhouse stuff is dead. I'm tired of being asked about it. I'm tired of trying to bring deals to the table. I'm tired of people talking to me about it. So you know what? Let's tell them. Let's tell them what's going on. Let's tell the fans how Joe's a prick. Right? AKA Mouse. How Mouse is sitting on the couch from his haters' couch. Let's tell everybody that. Let's tell about all the meetings that went south. And all the things that Joe cost us because just being Joe. Right? And this is where we got this album. Like I told you, this is not a Slaughterhouse album. Now, Joel and Crooked need you to believe it is. So that you can get all worked up in arms and you take your political sides and be like, oh, they can't do this without the two. I love the people. They sound so stupid. This is the people that they go with you can tell they're Joe fans because they go, Royce fans, if you have a house and 4 people, shut up, dude. This ain't even a Slaughterhouse album. So it ain't a Slaughterhouse house. So your analogy makes no sense. Right? That's why I tell you, Royce tries to be too smart. If you have a house, this ain't your house. These two dudes were rapping before they even met you. They rapping after they met you. It ain't your house. This is their second album together. It's not a Slaughterhouse album. I wish it was me in the middle of this because I would have been checked these guys. But they're not saying the right things because they really can't. You understand what I'm telling you? They have to frame this as a Slaughterhouse release so that it gets all the anger and the freaking frustration. But at the end of the day, you search Slaughterhouse. I was searching for this thing under Slaughterhouse. It does not come up under there. You think I'm lying? Go do it. Go on your iTunes. Go on your Amazon. go on your Deezer, go on your Napster, whatever you get your music from, Spotify, and search Slaughterhouse. When the little group come up, click it. Click it. Not one of these songs is in there. Not even one. Because it's not a Slaughterhouse album. So all of you people talking that, well, if you have a house and 4 guys built the house together and then one of the guys tries, you sound ridiculous. Right? If you knew how stupid you sound, you would never put anything else online again. It's not a Slaughterhouse record, buddy. I hate to break it to you because it sounds so good to just chime in with your Joe Budden accent, right? It sounds cool. It's not a Slaughterhouse record. And with that being said, I'm about to review the non-Slaughterhouse record because at some point we got to talk about the music, right? I'm going to get this out the way. This album is dope. There's not one whack song on this album. If you're a hater, if you're a Joe Budden fan that goes around listening to podcasts all day with your pants rolled up, then you think this is awesome. I mean, you think it's whack, right? Not awesome, whack. Because they're coming at your boy. If you this pseudo, like, black revolutionary from the hill, your House of the Hills, then you're a Royce fan and you think this is whack. Royce goes, I think this album is sad. Well, it's called pain music. You think this is sad? Go listen to some mood music. All right? This pain music because this is their pain. Sometimes your friends cause you pain. Sometimes people you do business with cause you pain. And people put pain on paper. Budden goes, hurt people, hurt people. Yeah, and you hurt a lot of people. So what's your excuse? Right? So what I want to say right now is the rise and fall of Slaughterhouse is exactly what I needed to hear. Because it puts everything in perspective. Because from the two people who was going to keep it real. Right? You would never have gotten this response from Budden in any kind of way. Because he's the main culprit of the BS. So, of course, he's never going to give you a full account, a real account of what really happened because he's the damn villain in the story. So his account going to be off. It's going to be filled with a bunch of garbage. This is the man that tried to say he never was signed to Amalgam Digital up in Boston. You clearly was on it because your music used to be on that page. You used to do shows with that moniker. Now you're going to try to say they forged your signature. They forged your signature. I used to see your music on that damn site. Before you went on Love and Hip Hop, your music was on there. But you try to say they forged your signature. They had a signature professional prove that Budden signed to that label. So that's what held up their shady deal. Right? And they've been waiting on Budden ever since. So my whole thing is the music you got right now is the only two people who could have given it to you like this. You got your bars, you got your retrospective stuff, you got everything you need to call it a complete album. Right? This is a strong album, a very strong album. When I first heard it come on, I like the intro. I love what they did. They took bits and pieces of a whole moment. Over 10 years, bro. The past 5-6 years don't matter because they weren't doing anything. But the stuff before that was legendary. But you could see this thing was going to fall apart at some point. I didn't want to believe it, but it is. I just was like, how is it going to look? Like when I used to say, I wonder how it's going to look when Brady leaves the Patriots. I used to say that years ago. Like, how's it going to look? Brady been there forever. He won them all the championship. Is it going to be ugly? Is it going to be messy when he leaves? Nah, they would never do. Yes. Horrible mess. Disaster. He ends up with another team, wins another Super Bowl without him. And they go flippity-floop. Upside down. Right? So this is that. Where you didn't expect it to ever be a tragedy and it's become a disaster, a laughable joke. And we have this rise and fall of Slaughterhouse. I love that they broke this down. We needed this closure. So right here's what I'm going to begin to review. Rise and Fall of Slaughterhouse, which is definitely not a Slaughterhouse album. So you comparing it to other works of Slaughterhouse, you're an idiot. Because this is by King Crooked and Joel Ortiz, which I believe they only have one album prior to this. So you can compare this to that. How about that? Because it's not a Slaughterhouse album. It doesn't say it is. Track 1, the birth intro. They got Sway on the intro. They got Talib interviewing one of the guys that's involved with this situation. I really don't. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know this guy's name. I don't know who's talking. I'm sure somebody in the comment could tell me who the guy is talking to Talib about how they came across the name, how they were on a phone call and they were naming the artist on the record. He's like, "Oh, this record is a Slaughterhouse." Like, "Oh, that's what you should call the record." And that's where we got this title from, right? Dope intro. It's perfect soundbite. Literally the perfect soundbite to set the mood of this album. And to be honest with you, this album is not all about Joe and Royce, right? Let's be clear. It's not all about them. It's songs on here that have nothing to do. It's just music. Now, they do talk about them because that's the rise and fall of Slaughterhouse. So first, track 1, it's just an intro, like 17 seconds or whatever it is. I don't know how long it is. But it sets the mood. I like it. Track 2, Vacancy, featuring Black Soul. Has organs and keys that set like a church mood, a church tone, a slow tempo. Ortiz basically goes off, and this is where he really starts launching in. This is really one of the most closest you can say is a diss track to Joe. It ain't even a diss track, because he could have really dissed him. But he basically was like, you're sitting on your hater couch, Mouse is on his hater couch doing his podcast, and just being him. And he congratulates pretty much Royce for getting us flowers for the Algorithm album. No, it's not Algorithm. I'm bugging. But he gives him his props for that album. And he's basically just saying that he's talking about it's not him. And, I mean, we're not really, that's not him. But he just talks about Joe Budden's comments against him and Joe Budden's comments against Paul. And he addresses, just he touches on a few things that's not too flattering. The hook is haunting. I like the feel of it. It's just it draws you in. It's telling you that this is going to be melancholy and dark. Hold your hats, because we're going to be talking about some stuff that ain't all rappity rap and bardy bar, right? I like Vacancy. Sets the album off right. I was like, I'm banging my head. I'm like, yo, this is fire. Like, this is nice, right? And the only reason you can say it's not nice is if you don't like what they're talking about. If you don't like the people that they're talking about. If you don't like that they're talking about people you're a fan of. But other than that, on some real hip-hop, this is a dope track. Next track, track 3. Ain't Nobody Mad. A slow, staggered kick and snare, old school soulful repetitive keys. They're explaining why they're not mad, because they got businesses, they got things going on. They're making money. It's not about money. Everything's about money. I don't want people to try to paint the narrative that it's not about money. This album ain't free, right? So let's not make it about, let's say you're not doing it because you're hurting, but you definitely want your money, right? And it's very old school. This whole album has 90s feel, and I like it. But they still know when to get futuristic and get turned up. So I like this. I like this song. They're pretty much telling you, man, we ain't out here just the picture they're trying to paint like we're hurting and they're rich. No, we got money too. We got businesses and things like that going on. So track 3, there's not a whack track yet. Let me keep it moving. Track 4, Backstage. Right? It's a 70s sample, recounting happy moments in the past. They're just breaking down how they felt backstage and how it was so cool to be a part of this thing as they watched it grow. This is the building. This is the buildup of the rise of Slaughterhouse. This is where we get that part. He mentions that Joe doesn't drink. He's just off prescription pills, and he still had a great time. He wasn't saying nothing bad or good or indifferent. He just mentioned something that was real. And it basically sounded like they're saying, when we weren't Slaughterhouse on tour, we weren't friends. We just went back to our respective corners. We would text on holidays. It wasn't what we thought it was. We thought it was this big, giant, happy-go-lucky family, and it wasn't that. It was just, hey, buddy, how you doing on, here and there, and they moved on with their respective things, which is why this was destined to fail, because it was never a friendship. It was a business arrangement that Joe didn't need no more, right? So they're talking about pretty much how it built, how it became what it was, and, just the beginnings of the group. Next song, Floodwaters, featuring Sly Paper. It's either Sly Paper. I think it's Sly Piper. I'm bugging. Sly Piper. right? Echoey chorus, stutter popping snare, a stuttery popping snare, very melancholy song. I like the chorus. I like how they kind of transition and start to get into more murky things when it comes to what we thought was this glossy, battle ready group that was always ready to bar. It started being the behind the scenes. It wasn't nothing about nobody having problems writing. It was the behind the scenes stuff that was the issue. And that's where we at right now with Floodwaters. Where there's nothing whack. That's the 5th track on here. Halfway through, not one whack song yet. I think it's sounding pretty good to me, as a matter of fact. Again, if the only thing you could say about this was the politics of it is what's going to make you not like it. Other than that, this is a good song, a good album. Next song, Fuck Glass House. Ortiz and Crooked destroy Glass House, just reminiscing over just pretty much something that they were trying to create that never formalized, and it was at the peak of the downfall is where we end up with this Glass House. So pretty much Crooked is like, I'm just gonna break this thing. I'm gonna break the glass. I'm gonna smash it and put it away. And from that point, we're gonna just be done with it and don't ask me about it no more. Next song, Brother's Keeper, right? You have a children's choir under a heavy bass beat, just a bar rap, just straight hip hop. Just you remember us, we do the bars. This is what we do. Yeah, there ain't no Budden here, there ain't no Royce, but we still go hard in here. And I enjoyed all these songs up here. That's 7 songs in out of 13. And I can't say nothing I'm going to skip, right? And a lot of people are going to question the replay value of this album. I'm going to replay it not to hear the disses, but I'm catching stuff in it that I didn't catch the first time. And not only that, some of this stuff is really real talk. It's not about Slaughterhouse. I can relate to this. It's real grown-up stuff. It's not about, because I don't know Joe Budden and Royce, but I can relate to a lot of this stuff where they're talking about just relating to people in business and friendship and just being a man and trying to raise your kids. This is a lot deeper than just being in Slaughterhouse for a couple years, right? So I will replay this album. Next song, Almighty. To me, it sounds like a Chinese kung fu flick, cinematic feel. Another one about just replaying what the issues were, but they also dropping bars. You know how these albums, braggadocious lyrics, and just what we expect from Joel and Crooked. And some of these are some of the best lyrics of the year, right? Right now, I'll be honest with you, my favorite hip hop song of the entire year, right, is Vinny and my guy J. Cole. The Cadillac, oh my God, that song, I can play that every day. That's the best song of the year. But as far as lyrics, these two guys are bombing, bro. Well thought out, well patterned. Some of these, they insinuate some of these guys in that group may have learned some of their cadences and their patterns from them. So, I don't know. You have to be a better judge than me. Next song, Smoke. Hard, flat snare and kick. Mellow tempo. Airy keys. Braggadocious rhymes. Just bass driven. It's a dope track. Another dope track. Smoke was one of the ones that I thought separated the sound of from the other stuff. It was one of the ones that didn't feel like it was too caught up in trying to be what everything else on the album was, right? A little different, but I liked it. Next song, Coasting, featuring Track Sanders. A mid-tempo, bassline driven drop kick, slap snare, tales about friendship gone sour and love lost. Crooked Eye speaks on. Oh, Crooked Eye. This is the one with Crooked Eye speaking on having diss records for Lupe Fiasco. Now imagine how loyal that is. How he let it go and was like, me dissing Lupe ain't gonna put no food on my table, and it ain't gonna bring Slaughterhouse back. But he was ready to go at Lupe. He was like, let's do a whole album and go with everybody we want on the album. This guy is loyal to a fault. This guy is a trooper. This guy is a soldier and a general at the same time. And he's for the team. And it doesn't seem like the team is the same, right? It doesn't seem like the team is the same. But Track Sanders Singing is dope. It's for lack of a better word, seductive, but it's gangster at the same time. I really dig this song. I really, really like it. And it's more about how they have less in common than more with their group members. So I really think we got yet another angle, another peek behind the curtain of what Slaughterhouse was and was not. Next song, Still in My Feelings. It's a dope hard rock drum and bass, repetitive spacey loop that carries the beat, triple snares, double chaotic kicks, more throwback stories about Slaughterhouse, about the past dealings, such as him creating total slaughter, and not feeling like he really benefited from more than anybody else, even though Crooked claims he's the creator of that. But he feels like everybody else ate off that more than he did. He just brushed it off and kept it moving. I really, really like these deep inside peekaboos and behind what we thought was this immaculate team. I appreciate it. Nothing whack yet. Next song, we only got 2 more songs left. Look Mama, which was an old school 90s drum pattern, an electric guitar sample, putting together a reminisce track with the up-tempo but dark and soulful sound. They speak on childhood scenes, melded into their teens and adulthood. It's pretty much a love letter to their mamas, just retrospective. This is the line where he says, colored money with the staples, which is food stamps. For those that don't know, they don't know what colored money with staples in it. That's food stamps. It's just stuff talking about, even though he didn't have much, he had his mama, and his mama made a way. And this is just an old love. This is an ode to the mamas, love letter to the mamas. It ain't dissing nobody. They're just real hip hop. Last but not least, the last song out of 13 tracks is called Sorry. It's a mid-80s sample, heavy 808 driven. If it's a sample, they could have replayed something. They could have played this Falling Off. But it sounds like a mid-80s sample, heavy 808 driven beat with loud 80s electric snare, just loud. My final thoughts, and it's their final thoughts on the whole team, the situation, an apologetic recap of why Slaughterhouse did not in the end succeed. They're speaking to the fans, and they dropped several incidents which could have been handled better. More things where management and artists did not link up and did not see eye to eye. We got more of that, and I feel like all of it was warranted. I don't think it was repetitive. I think you needed to drill in people's head that this wasn't just us. It ain't us being petty. This was and a lot of people not addressing how much stuff. Well, the album just came out, so I can't say they're not addressing it. But these guys said a lot. They said a lot of problems, and no one wants to talk about that. A lot of people are standing in their trenches about, well, they built it together, so they should have just had a phone call behind the scenes and just worked it out. Like, it's like robots talking points that they not really processing what they're saying. You can't keep talking to somebody who's not talking back, right? And you can't keep going in circles waiting on a man who clearly not coming. At some point, you're going to roll and do it and tell the world, listen, I'm done with this. And before you keep asking me, this is why. I applaud these men for this album. This is not a Slaughterhouse album because it never was meant to be. It was meant to be, we're going to burn Slaughterhouse down, shut it down, and tell everybody what happened and keep it moving. I give this album A, right? And you know how I do. I do A plus, A plus plus, A plus plus. I'm giving it a solid A, right? A solid A. I'm not saying it's a classic or nothing crazy like that. It's too deep rooted in just the topic at hand, right? But to me, I think the topic is a noteworthy topic, and I think people will come back for years trying to figure this thing out. I think they're going to come back for years, still trying to figure out what went wrong, what did we do, what could we have done, right? I'm done with Slaughterhouse. Like, after this album, I might go back and listen to some old stuff they did with it. I don't care about Slaughterhouse. Because it was a figment of our imagination. It never really existed. It sounded like even in their best of times, it was shaky and rocky and, you know what I'm saying? It sounded like these guys were just united off the strength of, we can make really good music. We can be really, really dope. We stronger together, which they were. And the reason a lot of these guys even being talked about now is because of Slaughterhouse. So salute to these two guys. Tell your story. Tell your truth. Can't nobody take nothing from you. You could do what you want to do. People are going to move on. In about 2 years, nobody gonna even really be tripping off this. Everybody gonna go to this Perspective Corners. I tell you this, you'll never see a Slaughterhouse album. You'll never see another one. I don't care if it's 5 years down the line. They're never gonna do one. Because the simple fact, if you did it, it would mean everything that you said on these lives and these tweets and all this stuff was bull. And you're not a man of your word. I feel like rapping with these guys again will go against the word of these guys saying they would never rap with them again because the business is too funky. And on that note, I'm going to get out of here. Thank y'all for watching, man. Let me know in the comments what you feel. What side of this table do you fall on? If you fall on any side. And what do you think could have been done to save Slaughterhouse? All right. CLBMG.com. I got another podcast called Clash that I do every Wednesday with Dante and Fliz. We only discuss old school hip hop. And we clash with each other all the time. It's a great time. I also got an album, Force Multipliers, with the Ugly Professor. Make sure you check that out. Real hip hop, that's all we do. And for all your, I'm an investor in a site called essentialvariety.org. And it's all of your needs, your basic needs: soap, body wash, condoms, pills for your meat to get up, everything. Everything is on that site, essentialvarieties.org. Make sure you go over there and check that out. All right? We're going to start rolling that out. That's going to be everywhere soon. So make sure you get involved with that. Go buy some soap. Go buy some hand lotion, whatever you need. All right? I'm going to catch y'all on that flip side. Peace.